Phenomenal. Oh, God.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the opening pair. We've got a special edition of the Champions League final preview for you tonight. Obviously, as you can see from our screen, Mr. Keith Kilduff is unavailable tonight. But I've been lucky enough to call in two very good mates of mine. Chris has been on with us before. He's stepped in for a fight night card for UFC previews. But I've also brought in a very good friend of mine, Jack. Jack, how are things? How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you, Carl. Cheers for having me on the show. Buzzing to be a part of it.
Great to have you on. Chris, how was all with you?
All good, mate. All good. Really excited to have a chat with you boys about the game. A little bit nervous over the next couple of days, but yeah, I'm really excited and honoured to be here as always.
Brilliant, yeah. It's great to have both of you on. Obviously, we've a lot to dig into, but just first of all, Jack, do you want to just give us a little bit of a history of your supportership of Chelsea and where we can see you online?
Yeah, no, sure. So, as Carl very kindly said, my name's Jack. I've supported Chelsea my whole life. My dad was a huge Chelsea fan. So I think it was only natural that I took the next step and kind of followed him in there. I've got my own YouTube channel called Eyes on Chelsea. I haven't uploaded to it a lot recently. I've just been too busy, but I am planning on getting into the swing of things over the summer again. And I'm going to be producing some kind of content for the Champions League final this weekend. But yeah, obviously buzzing to be on here with you two guys. We've done a few shows together in the past on various things. So I think it's going to be good fun tonight.
Yeah, most definitely. I've been actually really pleasured and honoured to get to know you guys over the last year or so. It's been a very strange lockdown experience, but one of the best things to come out of it was our little group chat that we have going. It's good to have Buddy on, and as we said, we've a lot to cover. But I suppose we'll jump into our preview. It's a strange one, isn't it? Like we spoke during the week between all of us, and we're a little bit nervous, and you know there's a lot going on in our minds, especially after the game last night. We're kind of getting those Champions League final nerves. But Chris, I'm going to come to you first, and basically what I was thinking was, you know, our overall journey has been fairly dominant, I think. But you know, there's been times when it's probably been squeaky bum time as well. But just for you, what's your overall thoughts and takeaways from the journey so far?
Just in the Champions League perspective, or overall?
Yeah, just the Champions League, yeah.
It's almost, even under both managers, I think it's been a completely different team when we've come into the Champions League. It almost feels like we've just got a different mindset to the competition this season, irrespective of what's happened, in the Premier League and, all the domestic cuts and stuff like that. Even when all the noise was being made around sort of Frank in the wintertime, Champions League always just seemed to be impervious to any sort of form or impact or anything like that. You know, we kind of sailed through the group stages, really comfortably. You know, if anything, I think we dropped points in the final game of the group stages. You know, everything was done by then. It doesn't really matter. But then when you look at our knockout run, it's phenomenal, really. People will turn around and say, "Oh, it's La Liga is really weak and it's poor teams and stuff like that." I don't really buy that. They're still really good players. And the thing about cup competitions is that you don't need to be in great form. You're playing against top quality people, top quality teams, top quality players, top quality managers, and they know how to win over two legs. You know, we've come up against two very savvy teams from Madrid and, dispatched them comfortably in my mind. I think our hardest game was the Porto game, actually. And that was obviously, their work rate had us on the back foot quite a lot. We didn't quite know how to deal with that at times, but we still successfully navigated that. And actually, it was the away performance, granted away, because it was both in the same stadiums, but that first performance was just phenomenal. If you look over our Champions League form, and if you were a Man City fan or member of staff or whatever, you'd be looking at our Champions League form, you'd be quite worried. If you just looked at it from an isolated point of view, we've been next to perfect across the whole competition. just the one defeat. I think I'm right in saying, and that was, to that Porto last minute winner when the game and the tie was dead, basically. That's some form going into the final. So overall, I think, from a Champions League perspective, and I think that's all we can really consider at the moment. I think that's all that's really important. I think the players just generally seem to be approaching those games with a completely different mindset and a different, performance level. It's been one of the best we've seen and completely unexpected. I think that's what's, the beauty of this run for us is it was just completely out of the blue. No one, would have expected that. We've been last 16 at best for God knows how long. All of a sudden, we've dispatched 3 of the top 4 in La Liga comfortably. And here we are in a final, which has changed venues a couple of times. But, we're here and, we've got a good fighting chance. We've got a really good chance against a very good team. But, yeah, really good. Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you raised some very, very good points. It's been very, very, I think very, as you say, we started off quite strong, I felt, in the group stages, and then whatever happened with Frank, and we moved into the knockout stage under Tuchel. But Jack, what's your thoughts on our run so far?
Yeah, I think it's probably gone under the radar just how good we've been in the Champions League this season. We got a pretty generous group, I felt, straight away. Sevilla were the only team in it that were really going to cause us an issue. But the minute we got through that group and we drew Atletico, everyone was saying we were getting knocked out straight away. I thought we were probably getting knocked out as well, especially though we were kind of looking under Lampard. I didn't really give much thought to even slightly kind of progressing. Obviously, he then got sacked. Tuchel came in, and you start to think that maybe there is a chance that, somehow tactically he might be able to get one up over Simeone. Since then, the transformation we've kind of seen of the team, it's been astonishing. And when you watch us in the Champions League and compare it to the Premier League, people always kind of say these Champions League games are the ones that the players really want to be playing in. And it's so obvious when you kind of watch us how much our players are able to get up for it when they kind of hear that anthem. Compared to the Premier League, it is quite frustrating, I do find. But we've just been astonishing the whole year in the Champions League, to be honest. Everyone's played a part in it. Tammy has. Giroud scored so many goals in the group stage, got that brilliant goal against Atletico. Hudson-Odoi even did his bit. So it's just been a really, really good, I think there's been a really good feel-good factor around the Champions League all season. And the performances against both Madrid sides, Chris has highlighted, the best performances we've seen from a Chelsea team in Europe in quite some time. So, yeah, really, really happy with how things have gone in the Champions League. We have secured top 4. So this game is a bit of a bonus, but it is a massive, massive bonus. So I'd love to see it spin it.
Yeah, we somehow managed to secure top 4, but yeah, we leave that where it is. But no, absolutely, I agree with everything both of you said. That I was always of the belief, just looking at our squad, that we're always better set up to play in Europe. We've got that solid base now, especially under Thomas. He's come in and he's really built from the back outwards. Obviously, our finishing hasn't been quite where we'd all like it to be, but we've turned over some very, very big sides. Although they might not be the powers that they once were, we've seen, Liverpool be knocked out by Madrid, and that Liverpool last season were runaway champions. They couldn't handle the tactics that Zidane brought and the players. We've seen it last night even as well. A side that is struggling mid-table in Spain, and yet get the job done against a second-place Manchester United. So, I think for me, European football takes on a life of its own, and I think, as you both have touched on, our players seem to get up for the bigger games against those sides that we're almost expected to not beat, which is in a way a fantastic trait, but over the consistency of a league, it's not so good. But thankfully, that's out of the way now. But so I suppose that's kind of covered off our journey so far. Jack, I'm going to come to you. Obviously, Manchester City, our opponents, we've played them very recently twice. We've managed to come out on the right side in the FA Cup semi-final and in the league game. What kind of impact on Saturday do you think that could have, if any at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to start by saying that January game is probably the most powerless I felt watching a Chelsea side in a while.
Yeah.
They just absolutely took us apart. I was just kind of standing there watching it in disbelief almost that someone could make me feel that, make our team feel that inferior. I think they were 2-3 goals up inside 20 minutes. And our players just looked completely kind of out of ideas. And it was at that point I knew that, you know, things with Frank wouldn't be going all that much further. Since then, we've beaten them twice. And for some reason, we haven't really been given the credit for beating them. FA Cup game and then the league game, both times it's all, the main narrative has been, you know, Pep's rested all these players, Pep's changed all these players. But this Man City side has had the best squad possibly ever assembled in football. It's not that far off. The amount of money they've spent, the amount of money they've got on the bench, and the fact that we've rotated in both those games as well just seems to be completely kind of forgotten. And both times we've kind of had curveballs in the way we've kind of set up. And I think there'll probably be another one on Saturday. You know, last time we played Billy Gilmore, you've got obviously our predicted lineup coming up later, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's one person in there that we completely wouldn't expect. Quite what that'll be, I'm not sure, but I think there's certainly a mutual appreciation between the two managers. You know, they are that good. These are the two of the best managers in the world. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that tactical battle plays out at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you say, that January game, it seems like a different world completely. Obviously, it's a different manager. But yeah, it was very much a case of us feeling helpless. But Chris, what's your thoughts?
I'd say Jack hit the nail on the head there. I remember watching that Man City game, and it was almost like the best way to put it was that old boxing analogy. You come out in that first round, you have a decent first round. You think you're gonna have a little bit of a go, and in reality, the opponent is just sitting there, just having a look at what you've got, and then they're just going to powerhouse for you. And they just dispatched us. And I just thought to myself at that. I remember watching it. I thought, we are miles off here. We are miles off. You can forget about league titles for the foreseeable. We're not going to be anywhere near that. And that was the level. And I actually think, yes, we have probably pulled the gap in a little bit, but I think what we've been able to do since Tuchel's come in is find a way to be involved in one-off games. I think he's found a formula. He's come in and he's put the tactics together to basically achieve top four, which was fundamentally what we needed to do. He plugged the gaps and he utilised the squad and he played the ball politics really well and he played the players that needed playing and he found something. But I think he's gone another level in this Champions League sort of setup where I feel like he's almost been fighting two fronts. He's set the team up to get that top four, but he's set the team up to be capable of winning this Champions League. I think he's really come in and thought, this is how I'm going to make my mark. I'm going to get top four by hook or by crook. This is how I'm going to go above the extra. And I think you're right. I think, you know, the FA Cup game more than the league game, I feel like anybody that's criticising our performance or, you know, nullifying the result there, they're being unfair. City were as strong as we were. They made the changes that we made in terms of reserve goalkeepers were playing and all of that. Yeah. That was an even game.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to tell me that Pep Guardiola didn't want to win that football match, you're lying to yourselves. He wanted to win that game. He had other objectives. He had the Premier League. He had the Champions League. The same as we did. We had top four and we had Champions League. It was a level playing field and we just beat them. And that's okay to say. We beat them. We were better than them on the day. We deserved the win. And that was it. It should have been more than 1-0. City looked, they were blunt and, you know, quite poor. Premier League game, they made 10 changes. We made a lot of changes though, but it was all to do with, you know, the next game in mind and all of that. So again, we deserve to win that game. At the end of the day, there was 11 players on the pitch, was there not? This Man City team is, as Jack said, is one of the most expensively assembled and world-class squads of 23 that you've ever seen. They don't play a weak team. Okay, it's not the team that we're going to face on Saturday, but the team that we fielded isn't the team that they're going to face on Saturday. And what we've shown is that squad depth versus squad depth, going 1-0 up, we'll keep a clean sheet and we'll beat you. If we go 1-0 down, we'll find a way back and we'll beat you. I'd be very worried on the psychological point of view if I was Pep at the moment, because I'd be looking at it going, that 3-1 is a different manager, different team, different set of circumstances. The two times we've come up against this guy, with this team and this setup, we've not been able to find a way.
Tuchel's never lost to Pep either, has he? And I think you made a really interesting point there about how he's kind of changed things in the league and how it differs between us in the league versus the cup. I think the issue we have in the league is a lot of the teams we play, they don't have to win the game. When you're in the cup, someone has got to win the game. Yeah. You know, if you actually watch us play, teams in the league can just sit back against us. You know, when we're playing these poor teams, the big teams are going to have to try and get points from us somehow because we're all in these sort of little battles. But effectively in the league, you know, sometimes teams can just sit back against us and we won't look like scoring and we can't score. You know, the game could go on for 12 more hours and we're not going to hit the back of the net. In these games, someone has got to win. So it just plays into our hands perfectly.
It does. Yeah, it really does. I agree with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You've both absolutely nailed it there. I think that the biggest takeaway is that psychological advantage because we all know that in a final, every tiny little extra bit of percentage, you know, in your favor you can get, it's everything. You know, like you think back to 2012, and Czech spoke about how superstitious that he was with everything being blue. You know, just every little thing that you can get that plays on the opposition's mind is fantastic. And I think, Jack, you made the point as well that all we kept hearing about was that Pep had these tactical master strokes up his sleeve. You cannot tell me that Tuchel hasn't the same. You know, like he's tactically one of the most astute managers that you're ever going to see. And I think there definitely is something up the sleeve. We've seen a lot of pieces being moved around the board with Reece and Aspie, you know, so there's possibly something coming there. The wing backs as well, but yeah, there's a lot to debate, which kind of leads me into our next little segment. And Jack, I'm going to let you lead off on this. I have a list of names down, key players on our side, on City's side. Obviously, the main names of Kante, Thiago Silva, Werner. You're looking at De Bruyne, Mahrez, Ruben Diaz. Who for you? We'll start from City first of all. Who for City are you worried about? We put it that way for now.
Well, the man that we let go to them is one of the big ones. I think, you know, he can just kind of unlock any defense, just change the game instantly. Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, we've got to try and keep players like him off the ball. Similar to Phil Foden, you know, they're absolutely fantastic players. They're magical. You know, the type of players we're arguably missing in some ways, but yeah, if we give them a moment's chance, they'll punish us. So those two for me are they're ones to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I suppose you probably will mention the same too. Is there anybody outside of those that maybe concerns you?
I'd probably just expand on the point. Really, I think they're such a good team, such a good squad. Yeah, I mean, I could basically list them all. They're all dangerous.
Yeah,
I think it's more about how we approach them as a unit. The best way to deal with that many quality players is to starve them of the things that they love. They love the ball. They work hard off the ball. We've got to outwork them. We've got to out hustle them. We've got to run that extra yard further than they will, and we've got to be that extra more clinical on the ball and earn the right to play against Man City. And make them. The best thing to do with Man City is hit them on the whiskers early, and make them start thinking about what you're going to do and not what they think that they're going to do to you. As soon as they stop thinking about how they're going to win a game, and as soon as they start thinking about what they're going to do next, that's when you can turn the tide against Man City, and that's when you stand a chance. Even then, it's still going to be a ridiculously tight game. But I mean, I could literally go through all of them. But yeah, De Bruyne, Foden, Gundogan. I don't think Jack mentioned. I think he's absolutely pivotal. For them. Obviously, if Diaz turns up, you know, player of the season, debatable. Probably a little bit of champions bias selected with that, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's a phenomenal centre back. So our strikers are going to have to be absolutely on point. Kyle Walker, he's absolutely class down that right hand side. So our left forwards, Mason's going to have a tough night if he starts up over there. You know, you look for those man to man matches. You literally just go for the whole team. I think it's more about how we take on their team as a unit, and we beat them in the heads, and then we can beat them with our physical attributes.
Yeah, I think that's actually an excellent point, Chris, especially when we think about that the amount of chances that they create, they just keep going and going and going and going. Whereas with us, it's more so we need to take that chance because City will just keep coming. They, as you say, they love the ball. I actually think how they play does definitely suit us because we like teams to come on and catch them on the break. One player that wasn't mentioned, I know he's at the very tail end of his career, but Sergio Aguero, his record against us is absolutely phenomenal. And so I know he was poor in the league game and stuff like that, but I just remember it was 2 instances with him and Andreas Christensen. And Christensen had been absolutely phenomenal for up to that point, but he just looked worried every time that Sergio got the ball. I'm just slightly concerned that he might have something in the tank for Saturday. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously we'll find out later. But it's just something about him, that psychological thing, that worries me. But having said that, look, we've got plenty of talent ourselves. As I've mentioned, the number 9. But Chris, for you, who is our absolute key on Saturday?
No surprises is Mason. He's the boy. I think that's not an edgy thing to say. He's just simply been our best player this season, as nominated by the players. So you don't really have to argue too much when the players themselves are saying that it's Mason, and then the fans have nominated as well. So he's going to be absolutely key. And I think playing him as that left-sided number 10 is his best position. Kante being fit is huge. We are just quite simply a much better team when he's in and he's fit. Mendy being back in gives the confidence to the whole back 4 or 5, whoever it is that we're playing. It makes us play differently. So they're key players for us. We'll probably get onto it. I expect Timo to start. I wonder if this is the night. Where it just all clicks.
Oh,
please.
Yeah, please.
If you talk about football gods and all of this, he's had.
Written in the stars.
You could make a compilation of everything that's gone against that boy. Offsides, handballs, penalty misses, all of those things. Horror shows. Is it all going to click? Is it all going to click on Saturday night? And will it be that kind of Torres versus Barca moment? Is he gonna deliver? The thing with Timo is he just never gives up. He's unwavered. He will give you. He will put himself in that position for that same chance in the next game. At some point, it's just gonna go. Saturday. I've been sitting on it for a while, but I really think he's going to come up with a huge moment for us.
Yeah. I think. As you say, the footballing gods, they owe the man something because he just had so much bad luck. And
I'm here. There we go.
You were gone for a second. That's fine.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I think he could be potentially really, really big for us on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Definitely, most definitely. But Jack, I'm going to let you. I suppose you're obviously going to expand on Mason and Timo as well. But who else for you? Can expand on Mason?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with some different names. I'll completely agree with what you're saying for me as well. But 3 other people I would put in there is Ben Chilwell, whoever ends up playing the right wing-back role, and Antonio Rudiger. I think in our squad at the moment, we're kind of missing, there's a real kind of lack of leadership from the players. And I think the way Rudiger has kind of stepped up under Thomas Tuchel, this is a massive, massive game for him again. But he has very much kind of become an on-the-pitch leader. He's obviously not the captain or anything, but in many ways, he's kind of carried us through games, and his attitude towards everything has been exemplary on the pitch. I think he's going to be absolutely key in, maybe putting an early shoulder in, an early challenge, and really kind of mentally kind of start to dominate that City side. Then with the wing-backs, we obviously know how dominant Jack Cancelo and Kyle Walker will be. I assume it will be them. Maybe Zinchenko starts, but I would have thought it would be those 2. Obviously, those Reece James and Chilwell are going to be imperative in actually kind of pinning those guys back up the pitch and hopefully kind of stopping them from kind of getting forward and causing our defence too many problems.
Getting excited now.
Honestly, I just had the same feeling myself. I just got the goosebumps there for a moment. But
It's like, oh,
yeah,
God, yeah,
yeah, the nerves are kicking in. I'm like
the wing backs, the full backs.
Sorry, boys.
there's just so much. There's so much to cover. But I think as well, there's another name, and sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer, but Edouard Mendy has got to play for us. Has got to start. If unfortunately, if Kepa is in goals, our chances just
plummet.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. And I think Thiago Silva and that experience of Champions League finals he played in the last year, obviously, the calmness that he brings to us. A name I'm probably going to give slightly away one of my predicted 11, my kind of controversial call, but a name for me I think is going to be absolutely crucial is Andreas Christensen, because I think that ability to play out from the back is going to be so crucial that every time we get the ball, we've got to make the absolute most of it. And for me, alongside Silva, he's our best footballing defensive player. So I think he's going to play an absolutely crucial role. The other, I suppose, outlier is with that is he's missed the last couple of games. So how is his match sharpness? Might be a problem as well. But I just think the way City love to press from the front, I think it's going to be massive that we look after the ball as best we can. But the excitement is really building, and I suppose, Jack, you're actually going to the game. You've managed to get yourself some tickets. You obviously were at the FA Cup final as well, but actually having fans in the stadium, it's finally getting us back to normality. Do you see that being a huge change from the last two times that we've played City with no crowds? Or
it's a tough one. I think it would definitely spur our players on more. Obviously, Man City are also going to have fans there, but I don't think it's any secret that some of our players maybe haven't performed to the level we would have expected for this season. And I think to have fans there chanting their name, it did make a difference with Timo last Tuesday against Leicester. I think it just made him feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that everyone at the club does still back him. So I think it will be nice. It'll be nice for the players. It feel like more of a big occasion. I remember watching the Champions League final last year, and it just kind of felt so muted. It was really, really sad that the biggest game in football had no fans. Had fake crowd noise. It just didn't feel like the same occasion. But whilst it's not going to be a full stadium on Saturday, I think the players are going to be that little bit more kind of up for it. How it affects the game, I'm really not too sure, because obviously Manchester City will have fans there as well. But I do hope that ours will be louder.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, do you agree, disagree, or?
I was just going to ask, Jack, you're obviously going. Do you think the fact that our fans, and quite a few that are going, will have done this 2 times before, some of them, or at least 1 time before? Do you think crowds having experience of finals has an impact on Champions League finals at all, or is that a complete waffle statement? My gut instinct is I feel like you hear it a lot at Anfield in particular. They talk about crowd experience. They talk about how Liverpool fans have been through pretty much any scenario you possibly can, so they relax the players because they themselves have walked this walk before, even if the players haven't. Do you think that the fans for Chelsea have an edge over the fans from Man City, obviously having done this 3 times before? That would be the point that I was kind of questioning, and I don't know what you boys think. Yeah,
I mean, it's our 5th European final since 2008. So we had 2 Europa Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues. This will be the 3rd Champions League. It's hard to say, really.
Some have done the Cup Winners' Cup in '98 as well, and Super Cup and stuff like that. So
it's hard to say, really, because those Manchester City fans haven't done this before. And a lot of Manchester City fans seem to prefer the Premier League to the Champions League. Like when I've spoken to them, they've not actually been interested in the Champions League at all, which I always found slightly strange. But I don't know, really. Maybe there will be. I don't know. Will the Man City fans be almost too nervous to probably kind of get in voice? I don't know. Like it's a very difficult one. But then at the same time, our fans have seen us win everything already. So could that almost lead to complacency? In some ways, as silly as that kind of sounds, I really don't know. It's a really interesting question.
I figure when it's certain points during the game where it's obviously tense, it'll be tense on the pitch. I feel like if City go into cruise control, then their fans are used to that because they're just used to watching the team roll clubs over 4-5, 5-0. Whereas we are used to, I mean, we did Munich, for crying out loud. You know, like
We don't make it easy for ourselves.
You know, we were
No.
in an equal game. We were outnumbered, sort of 3-4 to 1 in their stadium, and we still done it. You know, it's those little moments during the game where maybe it's a little bit tense, or will our fans key them up at the right time, because we're not so nervous. You know, we know that we can push on, and is that going to? Because you spoke about how having fans at games keyed Timo forward, and players have spoken about it, the impact, the positive impact that it has.
Yeah.
For me, that makes me feel like, have we got an intangible edge here with the fact that we've got experienced fans, not just in Champions League finals, but as you quite rightly pointed out, in European finals as well. I do wonder if that is going to play into our hands a little bit, and I'd like to think it does. You know, you look for these little margins here and there. I think that's probably one that we can probably look at and go, yeah, no, we probably will throw our weight behind that and give us the nod.
It's hard to look at it and say we don't have an edge on something like that. I do agree with you, definitely.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point. It really is, because I suppose when you look at both sides, player for player, there's very, very little Champions League final or even winner experience. You know, it's a strange one. It is, because I suppose no matter how many times any club has been to a final, your fans are always going to be nervous. Look at us already; like, we're 2 days out and we're already getting sweaty palms and stuff like that. So yeah, it is. It's a really interesting aspect of the game, and yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up, was because the atmosphere at home to Leicester, it just, like, I think Timo did a turn in the middle of the pitch and the crowd just went crazy. It sounded like it was 50 or 60,000 people there, and you could see visibly the players, their shoulders were back. You know, they wanted the ball, they were looking for the ball, they were taking their man on. I think we've seen over the last year that it definitely affected teams. I think I read a statistic that away victories are 48% higher than when the stadiums are full. So, you know, that lack of a home support definitely does play a role. But yeah, it's just going to be really nice to see fans there, and you know, the journey, the stories. And we were doing this during the week. We sent in some voice notes into the group chat about, like, old experiences, and you know, it's those sort of things that make the world a difference. But yeah, it's a tricky one. But I suppose. Will we try and predict some sort of an 11 out of the three of us, who try and come to some sort of an agreement? I suppose we're all pretty nailed on obviously fitness, allowing Edouard Mendy being in goals. Have Chris, have you any mad thoughts on bringing somebody else in, or is that surely nailed on?
I've got two. Are we just doing position by position, or do you want me to rattle it off?
Well, we can do. You can rattle it off. Yeah, rattle off your 11, and then we can go.
So I've got two 11s. Okay. I've got the one that I think will play, and I've got the one that I think if we were throwing a curveball in, I think we could play.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
So the one that I think will play is Mendy. I don't really care which way around it is. Reece, Aspi, Silva, Rudiger, Chilwell, Kante, Jorginho, Mount, Timo, Kai. That's the 11 I think it will be.
Yeah.
The curveball 11. If I was doing it, if it was me in control of the reins.
Yeah.
My concern would be over, as you pointed out, that he's not played for a couple of weeks, but I would go for this one. I would go Mendy, Reece. No, not Reece, sorry. Aspi, Christensen, Silva, Rudiger, Chilwell, Reece and Kante in the middle. Mount, Timo and Kai. That would be the change. I would put Reece into that CDM role alongside Kante if I was throwing a curveball.
Yeah, I like that. Jack, what are your thoughts on that curveball 11?
I think it'd be interesting to see. I think it is something that will happen in the future. I don't think Tuchel would risk it because of the Manchester City fullbacks. I just got this horrible image of Aspi getting completely skinned by João Cancelo. I think if he wasn't a factor in this, I could certainly kind of see it happening because, you know, Jorginho, Kovacic, either one of them, I don't think a lot of people truly kind of feel comfortable with them in the middle. You know, everyone's fine with Kante. I think we will see Reece James in there at some point. I think Tuchel won't be able to resist trying him now. After he had a bit of a shaky start against Villa, but he grew into the game pretty quickly, as you'd kind of expect, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't think against Manchester City it would be a feasible option. But I've seen a lot of people discussing that, Chris, and the idea of it does appeal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not what I think we'll do. Yeah, I don't think we'll do it. I would try it. Yeah.
Yeah, Tuchel is definitely, he's a safety first manager. He's not going to make that kind of call, so soon out from such a major game. But I do like that idea of making us battle hardened in the middle. I see where you're coming from with the your predicted 11 and your curveball 11, because that's kind of basically been our season with Tuchel. We literally can't predict a team. But Jack, what have you got?
Yeah, literally the exact same team that Chris has picked their first time round. I think I would rather see Reece in the wing back slot. Against Leicester, it worked really, really nicely with Reece at right centre back because of Vardy. But with Manchester City probably playing a false nine, I don't think we'll see Jesus or Aguero starting. I don't think we need to mitigate that risk quite so much. I'd probably have Reece out at right wing back as like a firm preference. Jorginho and Kante, no-brainer for me in the middle. Don't really want to see Kovacic anywhere near that. Against Manchester City the first time round, probably the most frustrated I've been at a player in a little while. It just looked like he didn't care whatsoever, lost concentration completely. Against Leicester on the last Tuesday, lost the ball, Leicester scored, and then at the weekend looked pretty calamitous in possession. For someone that's meant to be his best quality, he's meant to be press resistant. He can't do that at the moment, so he just doesn't deserve a start, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's tricky with the fact that he was injured for a little while. That little bit of match sharpness wasn't there. I'd go with Kova and Kante beside each other. I really would, because I think Kova has that ability to step up against the opposition. The higher, we've seen it against Bayern last season. He was our best player on the pitch. The only other curveball that I would have, and I've briefly mentioned it already, was I actually wouldn't start Aspie. I just thought in the last couple of weeks he's beginning to look a little leggy. And the red card against Villa, he looked rattled, which we can't afford that on Saturday. We just cannot. So I would actually go with Christensen in the back three and Reece at right wing back, because then we have that option to bring on Cesar to close out the game. If all going according to plan, please. We are, a goal up and we want to see things off. But I don't know if Chris, you think that's a crazy thought, or?
I don't think it's a crazy thought. I just think the concern is that he's not played for weeks. Yeah. He's not even been brought on at any point to get minutes into his legs. And for that reason, I just can't see him starting. So that's why I said the 11 that I think versus 11 that I would try. It's fantasy stuff really, because you're just taking real life out of account and you're just saying this is what I would give it a go. I don't think what you're saying is outrageous at all. I do agree with it a lot. Apart from the Kovacic thing, I agree wholeheartedly with Jack on that one. I think, I think it's just because he's not played for so long, to just lob him in. You need to get your match sharpness back up, and we've seen from Kovacic, even with minutes in your legs, in a couple of games, 2-3 games, he's still not at it. I'd probably keep Aspie in, and let's not forget that red card was rescinded, so that was just a refereeing. That was a refereeing error.
Not that we have had many of those in the last couple of weeks.
I think the circumstances as well, the players didn't know what the scores were in the other game. For all we know, the players probably thought top four had gone, and then you got Grealish messing around with Azpilicueta, diving around. I can see why someone would get annoyed. I like to think that on Saturday, in a similar situation, Aspie wouldn't have reacted.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's very fair. I suppose, Jack, I actually wanted to ask you, and I'll ask you, Chris, as well. Obviously, we've 5 substitutions in the Champions League. Who has the advantage in that area? For me, I feel slightly that we actually have the deeper squad or the more impactful subs. I don't know, Jack, if you agree.
Against pretty much every other team, I'd be like, get him. We've got 5 subs. These teams have only got 3 good players they can bring on. The problem we seem to have in theory, yeah, we've got 5-6 massive game changers on the bench. The problem is those players are so mercurial. You don't know what player is going to turn up off the bench on any given day. Christian Pulisic, if he comes on like he did against Real Madrid, that could well win us the Champions League final. Hakim Ziyech, a master of the Champions League. They're two players that could completely kind of change the game if they're on their day. If they're not, well, we've seen what they're like when they're not on their game. You got people like Giroud as well, big target man.
Yeah. That's a big one, yeah.
Hudson-Odoi as well, Kovacic. We've got some unbelievable players on the bench. It's just what mood they're going to be in on Saturday.
Yeah, I reckon Tammy's going to come on and score a hat trick, and that's. But being serious, Chris, what's your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think on paper we look fantastic. I think the reality of it is throughout the course of the season, it's just not happened. So there's no reason why anybody should look at that subs bench with absolute
confidence,
and absolute authority in what they're saying, and turn around and go, "We are better than City" from the bench, because we're not. Because as you quite rightly said, Jack, you don't know which player is going to turn up. If the best version of those players turn up, superb. However, the last few times Giroud's come on, the thing that I've been saying to you boys all season that he's best at doing is holding on to the football. He can't even do that. It's like it's got a power ball in it, and it's like bang off his chest, and it's like 10, 15 yards away. But that comes as you get older and get played less. You're not going to have that sharpness, which is why I think it's probably going to open up a can of worms. But I think that Tammy should be in ahead of Ollie for that final. Yeah. If he's going to make that forward change, because Tammy's not played as much, but he's that younger. He's a bit quicker. He can recover that heavy touch quicker than Ollie
push
can.
The defense a little bit more, really. Can't he?
And he can do a few more things.
He's more attributes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if we do make 5 subs, chances are 1.5, 2 of them will end up having a good game. Just the law of averages, which is potentially going to play onto our side.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you look at that City bench. It's stupidly phenomenal.
Well, see, this is the point. This is the point that I wanted to make, Chris. Is I was actually running through a couple of names in my head, and like Sterling, he's really out of form.
He's out of form, but he's again though, mate. Just as much as we're turning around and saying depends which version of ZX turns up. Yeah.
But that's what I mean.
I only need Sterling to have a good 5 minutes, and he can hurt you.
Yeah, but that's what I'm kind of thinking. Is that like again, City, like us on paper, I think Aguero, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, is slightly a worry. I'm not sure if Bruno Silva will start or not, but he could come on. But it's tricky. Like Nathan Ake, I think, is another option that can fill a gap in the future. I think there's just we're both quite similar. That like with the managers that we both have, they have their 11s, and that's kind of what they'll work off of. So it's hard for those substitute players to get the reps in to be up to match fitness and make that impact. It's probably the hardest thing in football to do, is to come on and make an instant impact, especially in a major final. And I just feel that we have maybe I've been ahead of myself saying we're an advantage, but I think we're very much at par with them.
We're certainly not a disadvantage.
Definitely not.
I think if you're actually going to go through them, forget league titles. League titles for me are irrelevant in these kind of games, because Real Madrid were finishing 3rd, 2nd, 4th, and winning 4 on the bounce in this competition. We've got a World Cup winner in N'Golo Kante. But I mean, talk about big game experience in tournament knockout football. That's as big as it gets. You've got Thiago Silva, who has been captain in Brazil. I'm pretty sure they've won a Sudo America, something along those lines. But he's akin. He's played Champions League final. If you talk about Champions League final experiences, Thiago's got one under his belt. He's had big game tournament experience. Losing experience is still better than no experience in my mind, because you've done the dance before. Everything feels a little bit more familiar when you turn up on the day. And having those players in the dressing room spreads across the squad. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Man City have anybody of that nature in a knockout tournament experience, either winning Champions League or South America or
Gundo lost it with
Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva. Gundogan is a World Cup winner, isn't he?
Yeah.
With
Is he?
Germany?
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. No, that's fair. But
yeah, I get your point though. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
but when you're talking about key pivotal players,
Yeah.
you know, Kante's one of our best players, and he's a World Cup winner.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thiago Silva is one of our most experienced players, and you know he'd have done all of that dance before. Gundogan, okay, fine, he might have done that. I don't know how much of an influence he has, how much of a voice he has. Pep's obviously, Pep's their biggest asset because
that's the outlier.
He's done it before and he's won it, and he's huge. Tuchel's been here and lost before, so you know you look at all of these tangibles, and I think Jack just mentioned it just before I started barging in. We're certainly not at a disadvantage coming into. I don't think that there's nothing in that Man City mentality that gives them an advantage over us coming into this game. I really do think it's quite even. Across the board, you know. I think, God, what again? Talking about it now, I'm just getting absolutely pumped.
Yeah,
I've been staying calm all week.
Same man. But you've
actually given me a frenzy.
You've given me a really nice tangent there. I'm going to come to you, Jack. We've mentioned Pep. It's going to come down to the two managers. You know, two tactical geniuses. If we're being honest, I think Pep's probably in the last 5-6 years been the best manager in the world. I think that's a fair statement. He's won it with other sides, and that's his track record speaks for itself. But Tuchel has won plenty, but not the big trophies. I think we spoke about this earlier, Chris. But Jack, in that head-to-head, who do you see having an advantage there?
I'm not sure Tuchel's ever lost to Pep, has he?
No.
I thought, was it not that the first time we beat them was the semi-final of the FA Cup? Was that not the case?
No. Tuchel, not.
Yeah, Tuchel, yeah.
Tuchel, I don't think Tuchel's ever lost to Pep. I thought.
Didn't he lose to? But he would have lost with Dortmund against Bayern in Germany, surely.
I don't think there's a very big crossover there. Pep would have left very.
I could have sworn seen it somewhere. That was the first time that he beat him, but I could be incorrect in that now.
I had a feeling that Tuchel was unbeaten against Pep. I might be wrong.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was Tuchel that's got the superior record.
That's yeah. No, I don't know. I just anyway.
Or that if Pep has beaten him, it's like 1 in 7 or 8. Something stupid like that.
I think it's record.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stories that like Pep's this huge admirer of Tuchel. You know, they've sat around and talked tactics for hours, and they're both in Germany together.
Salt and pepper thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think Tuchel's got the advantage. When you look at the last 2 games, both big tactical battles, Tuchel came out on top. We were the better team in both those games. So for me, going to the game, Thomas Tuchel has got the tactical advantage over Pep Guardiola.
That's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. I think it plays a massive part in. I think at the end of the day, they respect each other massively. Like I said to you earlier, I think the big thing is we've beaten them under Tuchel twice, but in 2 very different formats. We've beaten them in a one-off knockout game where we've gone 1-up and we've controlled the game.
Yeah.
And then we've gone to their gaff and gone 1-0 down, and you know referees have tried to do us with penalties or whatever, and we've still come back and come back and win. So that does play into it. It won't have a massive impact, but it will be in their minds. It will just be kind of like, well, hang on, we've 2 scenarios now, and you know they've done us twice, and that will G Man City up. They will be like, we're not going to let them beat us for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
Whereas from our point of view, we just be like, well, come on now. Like, you know, there's no reason to fear these boys. Respect them, absolutely. Don't take them for granted at all. But come on, there's not a thing that they've thrown at you so far under Tuchel that you've not been able to deal with. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it's a respect. It's just 2 great managers going head to head with 2 great teams. It's basically what Champions League football should be.
Yeah, yeah. Everything both of you have said. It's going to be fascinating. I think both people have something that perceives one another. There's so many different battles that are going to take place on the pitch, on the sideline of Pep's mind. Pep's been known to overthink these things, so hasn't he? Which I think could
play like Aguero centre back or something, won't he?
Let's hope so, yeah. But yeah, it's just I think the battle off the pitch will be as fascinating as that on it. I suppose before we do wrap up, we've kind of gone through the journey, we've gone through the teams, the tactics, the managers, everything. we're going to have to try and make some sort of predictions here.
No.
Yeah. Okay, I'll come to you second, Chris. You look like you're still a bit of
struggling.
Sorry, Jack. I'm gonna give you the short.
He's throwing me under the bus.
I have. Yeah. Yes. Go on. Give us what you think is going to happen.
I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. Timo Werner scores the opener. Mason Mount gets the second. City peg one back, but it's too late to get back into the game. I just feel like the volume of chances we're creating against them, we will score. I'll be heartbroken if we don't get a goal. I just want to celebrate my team scoring a goal on Saturday, I think. First things first, but I think we'll come out 2-1 winners.
Okay. Chris, are you ready for us?
Yeah, I think if the very best version of us turns up and we are on it from the absolute minute one, we win the football match. 2-1's an easy score to go for because it compensates for Man City inevitably getting a goal because they're just too good not to. However, I wouldn't rule out a clean sheet if we're at it. If we basically need to go 1-0 up. If we go 1-0 up, we'll win the football match.
Yeah.
I think if we're chasing a game against Man City, I think we're going to struggle because we've shown we've done it against Arsenal, we've done it against Leicester, we've done it against Villa. If we've gone behind, we're struggling, and that will play on the boys' minds. So I think if we go 1-0 up, we will win this game, and I wouldn't rule out a clean sheet, but to be safe, I'll go 2-1.
Nice, yeah.
But don't be shocked if it's 2-0.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything both of you have said. Once again, you've absolutely nailed it. For me, I see this being a very, very close game. I really do. I some of my friends have texted me saying, "Oh, City are going to absolutely blow you away." I don't believe that's going to be the case. I think the
City aren't West Brom, are they?
yeah. Thank God. I just think the occasion is going to take on a life of its own. I see it actually going to extra time, I have to be honest. And I just had this thought in my head of Christian Pulisic coming off the bench, making an impact, either scoring a goal himself or winning a penalty, one of the two. But I just see Pulisic coming on and grabbing a late winner. I just see us winning an extra time 1-0. I'm hoping it doesn't go that far. I don't think my heart could take it. I don't think any of our hearts could take it. Look, just as long as it doesn't go to penalties, I think we'd all be happy. But yeah, I think I'm the dreaded penalties. Oh God. But yeah, no, I'm going to just go with us sneaking through 1-0 in extra time. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong, that we win it in ordinary time. But yeah, so yeah, with that, we've kind of come to the end of our show. Chris, do you want to just tell us where we'll find you online and on Twitter or wherever?
Yeah, at Chris Gagg. It's the I don't need to put any numbers or any weird things on because it's just such a.
Is that Gagg with 1 G or 2 Gs?
3 Gs actually.
And Jack, once again, you just give us your handles and stuff.
Yeah, my handle's just Iceland CFC. Very simple.
Very good. Yeah, excellent. As I said, we're the opening player. Catch us on YouTube here. I'm at Kyle Gavin. But look, this has been a fantastic evening. It's a pleasure to have both of you on and talking about something we both love. And all that's really is left to say is just like, share, subscribe, click, comment, all the good stuff. And come on, Chelsea. Let's hope we get the job done on Saturday, please.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
God, this game, man. Come on.
Let's just get it done. Okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
See you later.